All right. So we're starting the first discussion today. And like I said, our focus is a sure path to desire destination in life. A sure path to desire destination in life. We live a life, a very interesting life as a human, which can also be very challenging. Very challenging because of the fact that we have plans of what we want to do, but most of the time or sometimes we don't get to achieve or actualize that plan that we have in our life. So what we are trying to discuss today is why is it that we are not able to actualize that plan, and what we begin to do differently to be able to actualize our plans as human beings. Now, I will be combining science and scriptures. I'll be combining science and scriptures. I'll focus more on science, actually, and on physics. But I will back it up with scripture so that those of us that are, for those people that will be hearing in future that are very religious in their mind, they will be able to appreciate the conversation and see that these things are encoded in scriptures, only that we have not been able to unravel it, or only few people have been able to unravel it. And these principles are such that even those that do not believe in God or believe in scriptures, but they are able to apply it in their life, they are able to get that desired rest or desired result. So I'll start by saying that if creation makes us to know God, and science made us to know creation, then God is science and science is God. That is, God creates science and science is the study of God. God creates science and science is the study of God. As you study everything in the universe, you are actually studying God indirectly. Only that because they call it physics, because they call it chemistry, because they call it biology, you don't have the sense that you're actually studying God, but in the real sense, you're studying God. If creation makes us to know God, because the scripture says, by observing creation, you actually get to know Him. For example, by observing creation, I get to know that God is a God of systems. He's a God of systems. I'm sure you know carbon cycle in secondary school. You know water cycle in secondary school. This thing happened without any interference. The way day and night happen without any interference. So it's that tomorrow will come is as sure as yesterday. As in, you don't have any doubt in your mind. But it's a system that God has put in place that makes tomorrow to come. So very soon it will become dark. Then before you know it, it will come into another light. But what is happening really? Through science, we are able to discover that the Earth rotates on its axis once in 24 hours, such that the side that is towards the light is said to be in day, and the side that is away from the light is said to be in darkness. So currently, Moscow is in light, but Sydney is in darkness. Toronto is in darkness. Someone is joining us from Canada, and Toronto now is 4 a.m. Tokyo is in darkness, but Addis Ababa is in light. London is in light. Dubai is in light. Beijing is in light. Abidjan is in light. Lagos is in light. But New York is in darkness. New York, Washington is in darkness. Chicago is in darkness. Because that part of the earth is away from the sun. The earth is spherical, and the side towards the light is day, and the side away from the light is darkness. I'm basically saying that it's a system that has been put in place by God, but we study to discover it. But that gives us an idea of who God is and help us to understand it. So I'll repeat that statement again. If creation made us to know God, and science made us to know creation, then God is science and science is God. That is, God created science, and science is the study of God. So as we learn about what God has created, we get to learn about God Himself. As we learn about what God has created, we get to learn about God Himself. Please note that I'll be using the word universe, and I'll use it very frequently in this conversation today. You can interpret universe as God, or a supreme being, or a supreme intelligence. For those that are Christian or Muslim, for those that will be hearing it that don't believe in God, you can interpret it the way you choose to interpret it. But I'll use the word universe so I can connect to everyone, either you believe in God or you don't believe in God. Let me quote the word of Nikola Tesla. Nikola Tesla said that if you want to find the secret of the universe, think in terms of energy, think in terms of frequency, and think in terms of vibration. Think in terms of energy, think in terms of frequency, and think in terms of vibration. You are not a physical being in this physical universe. You are actually a vibrational being in a vibrating universe. You are a vibrational being in a vibrating universe. Now, I'm talking physics. And after a while, I'll take it into life, and then I'll take it into the scriptures when I'm rounding up. But I'm talking physics. And a number of us are science, so you probably can relate to a large extent with what I'm saying, at least for those of us that did physics in secondary school. Now, you are a transmitter and a receiver of energy. And therefore, you should consider yourself as a vibrational universe. You transmit and you receive energy. You transmit and you receive energy. You transmit and you receive energy. Everything is energy. Look at this table. This table is solid. But this table is made up of atoms. You did a little bit of meta math, so you'll be able to tell me the kind of element that is made up of in this table. You'll be able to tell me the kind of element that constitutes a polymer that make this table to be possible. But the fact remains that if you look at even your body, it's made up of cells. The cell has inside it elements again, the same element we're all familiar with. But those elements have atoms. And the atoms have protons, they have neutrons, they have electrons. And the electrons is in constant state of vibration. Now, the vibration energy of this solid is very low. That's why you can see it. That's why you can see it. There's a level of vibration of atomic energy that you won't be able to see with your naked eyes again. You'll be able to see with your naked eyes again. So it moves from, so we move from solid, liquid, and gas. So liquid have a higher level of vibration than solid, and gas have a very high level of vibration. That's why if you heat anything, after a while, if it's solid, it becomes liquid. If you keep eating it, after a while, it disappears. It disappears. It disappears. Because it's changing from one level of energy to the other. And that's who we are as humans. Now, and this foundation is very important to what we'll be discussing today, because it makes us to be able to understand the fact that sometimes when we do some religious activity, what it actually do is to raise our level of vibration. But unfortunately, you know, when the scripture was being written, a number of things we know today were not known at that time. So, if the scripture say, for example, shout to the Lord, sing, be joyful. Be joyful, raise your level of vibration, and it emit a positive energy. But I could be sad also, which is another emotion, which also create a vibration, but produce a negative energy. Now, all this influence our lives to a very, very large extent. unfortunately for us as humans, we don't think in terms of this because many are not even aware of it. But it's like law of gravity. You believe it, you don't believe it. You accept it, you don't accept it. This is physics, and this is the reality in which we find ourselves here on Earth. So you continually send out vibration into the universe to communicate to it, and that determines who you are at the moment. This signal will either attract or send out vibration, leading to occurrence or event or circumstances in your life. If you are experiencing anything in your life, you need to accept the fact that, to a large extent, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is it. So whatever I'm seeing in my environment, to a large extent, is what I am inside. And that if I want to change what is happening in my environment, what I need to do is to change my internal state. And that if I have control, if I try to control my internal state, I will be able to control what I have on the outside. Now, so if you naturally attract what is in harmony with your state of being. And of course, you repel also what is not in sync with your state of being. If I am in a state of happiness, I will attract happiness. If I'm in a state of sadness, I will also attract the same energy towards myself. If you are loving, you will repel hate. You will attract love. If you are angry, you will repel peace. You will attract anger. If you are sad, you will repel joy. And you will attract sadness because you are operating at that frequency. If your energetic self radiates wealth and abundance, your physical reality will reflect wealth and abundance. If your energetic self radiates wealth and abundance, your physical reality will reflect the same. Once you accept this principle and laws of attraction, it makes you to become more conscious of the signal that you put out there in your life. So my question is this: what is the signal that you're putting out there in your life? What kind of signal are you putting out? What kind of signal are you putting out? If you become more conscious of this, you can fundamentally change the way you experience the world that you live in. You can fundamentally change the way you experience the world that you live in. So that's why you should wonder how two human beings can go through the same thing, but experience different things. They went through the same thing. Maybe they both failed an exam. They both experienced a loss. They both faced a particular challenge. Someone else is committing suicide. Someone else used it as a stepping stone to a greater height. The same situation, different outcome. The same situation, different outcome. If you wonder if this principle really works or whether it is true, that is the essence of having this live session that we have tagged a fresh start. Albert Einstein says that everything is energy, and that is all there is to it. And then he said, match the frequency of the reality you want in life, and you cannot but get that reality. And then he said, it can be no other way. And this is not a philosophy, it is simply physics. This is not a philosophy, it is simply physics. So it's not a philosophy. You know, when I started, I talked about science, and that scientists discovered it, but it has always been there. Scientists discovered it, but it has always been there. A good example is before Galileo discovered that the earth is spherical, we've always believed that the earth is flat. But the scripture already talks about the fact that God sits on the circle of the earth. So the earth has always been spherical. But we, through science, eventually discover that the earth is spherical. But it has always been spherical. Only that, based on our physical reality, it looks like it's flat, but it has always been spherical. It has always been spherical. So whatever we are discussing is physics. Physics just study what is already in existence and then leverage on that principle to create solutions for humanity on the earth. Just study what has already been in existence. Geography, for example. Sorry, gravity, for example. It has already been in existence. Whatever goes up, comes down. It has already been in existence. But we study it. Now, so what we are discussing today is not a new discovery. It has always been there. Only that for many Christians, they stay away from science. They don't want to mix science with their Christianity. And I begin to wonder, how really can you be a Christian without really appreciating science? Because, and that shows in the story of creation. In fact, that's why this religious mind believes that our world is how many years old? But science will tell you the world is not 6,000 years old. Because we know that dinosaurs exist sometimes in this world, and dinosaurs are not 6,000 years old. And today, you can take a particular relic of what was built over 1 million years ago, and that the earth had existed for many years. So when you look at the theory of creation, for example, you know that the person that was writing, who was writing? Moses. He had a vision and he was writing. But he can only write based on his current reality. For example, Moses' reality is that a day is 24 hours. A day is 24 hours. So when he says the evening and the morning was day one, he's talking about in his understanding what a day is. But for a day to happen, there must be sun. And the earth has to rotate around the sun. But you know the sun was not created until day 4 in the account of creation. The sun was not created until day 4. And that should tell you something. That when the Bible says, let there be light at the beginning, it wasn't sun, because sun was created eventually along the way. So the understanding of the saying that day 4, that the beginning of that the earth was created in 6 days is based on the writing of Moses and his understanding at that time. The earth is not 6,000 years old. It's billions of years old. Now, and understand this will make you to understand that the fact that the world has evolved from what it used to be to what it is now, and the evolution is still on. Not the evolution in terms of the way Darwin talk about it of an animal becoming man, but even human being is evolving. Look at the child. Look at when you were the child. Look at the children that is born today, and you see the difference in the way you think. The brain has evolved. Unfortunately, many parents are not understanding it, and they're having big issue with their children because of the way those children are behaving. This is the way they behave. I'm basically talking about the fact that all I'm discussing is physics and how this universe affects us as humans. Quantum physics stated that everything is in the universe is energy. Everything is energy. When you put your body under a large microscope, you will see that your body is made up of cells. If you focus deeper and zoom into it, you will notice that each cell is made up of elements and molecules and atoms. If you zoom further, you will see that the atoms are made up of proton, neutron, and electron, which are energy that are in constant state of vibration. According to the law of the universe, energy is constantly vibrating at certain speed, and since everything is energy, everything therefore is in constant vibration. Everything is including you and I. So this phone is on this table. This phone is actually not on this table. But from your eyes, it's on this table. But it's not. If you look at it under microscope, you will see a gap between this phone and this table. It's not sitting on the table. It's not sitting on the table. The electron here and this one are repelling themselves, and it's not sitting on the table. They are not touching each other. Now, this is the reality of the world in which we live. Albert Einstein stated that an object can move. Look at this. Look at this. And you can perform this experiment if you have the patience later on. An element, an object can move, can change, and otherwise be affected without a physical touch from another object. Without a physical touch from another object. And he called this spooky action at a distance. Spooky action at a distance. Look at the experiment that was performed. And this has been done several times. They took a plate of egg, 3 plates of egg, open it up, put the egg inside, break the egg, break the egg, break the egg, and close it. Label 1, good feeling, or good thought, or good words. The other one, label bad feeling, bad thought, bad word. The other one, leave it idle. You see this one as good feeling. Every day, you are talking good to it and having a good thought about it and speaking good things to it, good word to it every day. Then this one, bad word to it every day, several times a day. And this one, leave it on its own. From day 21 to day 30, they notice a change in the nature of that egg. You see the one that is good words remain fresh. Remain fresh. The one that is bad words and left on its own started decaying. Started decaying. But the one that is with good words remain fresh. Another one was conducted among basketballers. These were all professionals in the US, professionals. They are all good at what they do. But over a period of 30 days, they took a team, they did practice. Another team practiced vigorously. Another team did not practice vigorously, but they visualized practice. Visualize, imagine it happening every day, several times a day. And after a period, they realized that the skill of those that did not practice diminished. But the skill of those that practice and the skill of those that visualized were almost at the same level. Meaning those that visualized were like those that actually practice, because of the way the brain was wired and conditioned over that period by virtue of that, because our brain really cannot differentiate between our thoughts and reality. Your brain cannot differentiate between your thought that this thing that I'm thinking is a thinking and the reality of that thing really happening in the real sense of the word. Of that thing really happening in the real sense of the word. So this experiment, like I said, was done on 3 eggs, with one receiving positive word and thought, one receiving negative word and thought, and the other ignored. After 21 to 30 days of doing this to this egg a number of times a day, the one with positive words remained fresh, while the one that received negative words and thought became rotten and smelling. What does this mean? What exactly does this mean? It means that the words we say have a powerful effect on everything around us. On everything around us. Whether it is human beings or food items, your word have a profound impact on others, but more importantly, on yourself. What do you say about yourself? Words are very powerful. And when you say something, it affects the way you feel. In fact, motion is preceded by emotion. If someone is going to fight, he must first get angry. And that anger, that emotion, is what precedes that motion that eventually found himself in. So the way we think affects us a lot. You know what? Our environment is full of very terrible energy. You must be conscious of that to be able to ensure that you yourself ensure that what happens in the environment does not affect you. You enter public transport, you see the way they are shouting, see the way they are talking. You go to a particular environment, you see all those things is affecting you, believe it or not. So you must be conscious of your internal state. So you don't get sad, unhappy, very angry because of what people do on the outside. Because that means you are allowing what people do on the outside to affect the way you feel on the inside. Which is why you really cannot, no matter what people do. And all of us as humans are guilty of this, but it doesn't at the same time, it doesn't permit it. No matter what people do, being angry is within your control. No matter what they do to you, being angry is within your control. The only way you know it's within your control is if what was done to you that make you angry to want to fight is done to you by someone you can't beat. You regulate. You regulate. You regulate, as in you just find yourself regulating. Your brain is telling you don't try it because the guy will kill you. Or he's a police officer with a gun. You won. You know why? That means you can actually regulate. The person he has slapped you. You are boiling. You are angry. But you won't fight. You'll be mindful of what you say. You can even say, I'm sorry. You are the one that slap, or you will say, I'm sorry. You don't want to receive another slap. You don't receive another slap. The idea basically is this. That we all understand the fact that we have control about our internal feelings. And that if you allow what people do on the outside to affect how you feel on the inside, what that basically does is, that means you allow people to control you. As if people are controlling you from the outside. It's not a good place to be. That someone's action is controlling the way you feel. It's not a good place to be. It's not a good place to be. So, positive word, good intention behind them nurture and encourage growth. Negative word with negative emotion literally lead to rottenness and destruction. You can spend all your time to work hard on your goals, but if you keep sending negative energy to the universe, you will constantly attract negative energy to yourself and never achieve your dreams. And never achieve your dreams. This is why we see that all efforts are being made, strategies are being deployed, but things are not moving our way because our vibrations are not aligning with our desires. The vibration is not aligning with your desires. When your vibration is in alignment with your effort and your desire in life, things are going to fall in place. It's just a matter of time. Like I said earlier, scientists conduct another experiment on basketball players, dividing them into groups, 3 groups. Group 1, do nothing for the period of the experiment. Group 2, practice vigorously. And group 3 were asked to practice through visualization. After a certain period, the shooting skill of those that did nothing declined, while the shooting skill of those that vigorously practiced went to a higher level, and those that practiced shooting through visualization went to a higher level as those that did the actual practice. This suggests that even just using the visualization techniques, you can manifest those things that you visualize in the real life through the law of attraction. These are proof of how the law of attraction and the law of vibration work. And this to let you know that everything that happened in the inner world first, everything happened in the inner world first before it becomes manifest on the outside. Ladies and gentlemen, whatsoever you see in your life today is a reflection of what is happening on the outside of you. Whatsoever you see in your life today, what is it that you don't like? What is it that you want to change? What is it that you see on the internal today is a reflection. Sorry, on the external today is a reflection of what is going on the inside. You need to learn to close the gap between your intention and your manifestation. And this can be done through raising your vibration by visualization. Eh? Is that what? Okay. You need to learn to close the gap between your intentions and your manifestation. And this can be done through raising your vibration by visualization. I will talk a lot about raising your vibration later on. This is because a greater part of us is really not physical. When your vibration is in alignment with the things that you want, the universe will deliver it to you. And this will make you feel like you are so lucky because with a little effort, you are getting great results. So how do you do this? We all need to do this through our thoughts, through our feeling, and through our actions. I can't have the thought and feeling and imagination without a measurable action in that direction. And through our action. And this must be in alignment with the things we want. The feelings and that emotion that follow it is very important in this process because you need to feel as if your desire is being manifested. This is what closes the gap between your inner world and the outer world. This is what closes the gap between your inner world and the outer world. Let me take some questions and comments before we move to part 2 of this conversation. Let me take some questions and comments before we move to the part 2 of the conversation. Yes. What is happening to you inside? Don't tell me what you learned. What is happening to you so far, based on what we're discussing? Eh? I like that. Yeah. Say it's confused. Don't worry, before we finish, you will not be confused. That's the goal. Yes, what is happening? Your energy level is changing. Yes, what is happening?
I was trying to relate what I passed through on daily basis, exactly what you are discussing. And it's true. What we say, or what we desire, if we channel the right effort to get it. I give you an example. It is a beautiful
yes.
Strike,
yeah.
Nation,
issues in the country.
I not of study. And the question is, how do I do that? How? The question is how. I'm not telling the idea. But the first thing you should have is personal passport. Because that personal passport.
You can't travel.
Even if they are like that. So the first is yes. Then the question is the process of getting that. It's not fun. About the NIN, you go there, you want to get it tomorrow, you need to write it. Then the next thing is how do you apply to schools? Some schools will say, okay, I have a list of some schools that are applied to medicine and not accept that application until you get that application. and the application is in $1. And there are some schools, very good, wonderful schools, they didn't have that. I thought I was sleeping on this school gave you admission. They didn't give you something.
Yeah, you don't have to work. You don't.
Go to the graduate school, Harvard University, to the graduate school, MIT. Email them. Tell them you're interested in their program. Fee, and they're waiting for you. In less than 5 minutes, they reply. They said, oh, we are very much interested. We are very much happy that you got interested in our program. Okay, in course of the application, just think that your parents are not, just if you tell us the educational condition of parents, maybe whether they have attended for the first time, tell us that you're from tell us this, tell us that the income. And by the time you finish the application, you wait. I've got a person and just wait. But it's something I was not trying to agree. How do they do that? Some schools actually paid, need to attend their virtual training, follow the process. But some schools said, you need to attend all those things, you must pay. So that means you need to do something for schools. And then on the road, I completed some. And the question is, how do you, it doesn't end there. You still need to have a kind of follow-up. Because by the time I discovered most applications just stop there. Chinese, Indian,
they take up the stuff.
So what you do to have an extra edge over others? You write your journey. Writing your journey is not fun. when you are done, send this course. Right? Those ones you can give them for free. Right? And they accepted that. Case closed. How do I establish a relationship with lecturers? It's another factor. Because for somebody to say, okay, we start, okay, 1, 2, 3. They are applying for the current program. What do and you people have first class? You have 330.
That is score.
The GRE score. You have 5 populations, and they want to choose only one. You need to go the extra mile.
Yeah.
So one of the corporate investors said, try to establish a relationship between the supervisors. How do we establish those relationships? And I thought, you know this, your prospective supervisors start reviewing.
Be mindful of what you think, because your thoughts control your life. Be mindful of what you think, because your thoughts control your life. That's the translation of guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Did you get that? You don't get that. You didn't get that. You didn't get that. You didn't get that. You did not get that. You did not get that. You did not get that. Guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life.
This picture does
makes sense.
There's something called this person at the level of shopping appearance. Very soon with computer and safety question.
And they when they meet, they become bigger.
So at that moment when you are not engineer, you can constantly interfere with everything that you actually need to achieve that point. So it's
because it's already in the air, only that you are not moving at that frequency to be able to connect. Like a radio wave, exactly. It's actually like a radio wave.
you are not there.
Be mindful of what you think, because your thoughts control your life. So as you go into the new year, let it be a fresh start, that you are very conscious of what you think. Look, if you can do this, that you are extremely conscious of what you think. So you don't just think, because there's a way you can think in a focused manner. Like you mentioned something in what he said. He said he will just wake up and it will just occur to him. He doesn't know what is going on. He's already at that frequency, so he's picking up different information. He's picking up different information. He's picking up different information that is making him to be making progress little by little, little by little, little by little, little by little, little by little. Because as a man thinks in his heart, that's what he becomes. Unfortunately, as humans, we are not concentrated in our thoughts. So our thoughts are scattered. You think about social media now, then the thought comes to someone just fights and angry. Then someone comes to thinking about a job or thinking about, as if the thought is not concentrated towards what you really want to. What you really want to. Now, I deliberately pause for us to have this conversation to be able to ensure that we are all flowing. Now, like I said, for those of us that are really very religious, I'm going to show you from the scriptures. You now realize that the scriptures actually already encoded this. The challenge for us is that we read the scripture with religious mind. We don't read it with the mind of the fact that the scripture is a manual for how to live, and that these things are already there, only that we don't see it. So we see it, we don't see it the way we should see it. We don't see it from the physics and science perspective. We see it from the religious perspective. What's the goal of prayer? We're going to discuss that. What's the goal of prayer? Studying scripture, singing and worshiping. What those things do is to increase your vibration level. To make it to be at a level that you can attract those things to yourself. And like I said, when the scripture was being written, God could not explain this thing to humanity at that time because we don't even understand physics. Talk less of biology, talk less of chemistry. So there's no way he can communicate it to us. But today, we are living in a better world in which we have a very higher level of knowledge and understanding that can make us to really begin to see this scripture in the true light and begin to imbibe it. At the end of today, if you put into practice what we're going to be discussing, you will realize that being angry is something you must not encourage. Being sad is something you must not encourage. No matter what happens, you must find a way to get yourself to that higher energy. And one of the things you can use to achieve is music. There are some songs when you listen to, it just makes you to be out of this world. You are at a, it's like you are feeling good bumps. That is the kind of music you want to listen to at that time. Not to allow the negative circumstances to make you become depressed. Listen to that music that will take you out of that state. Because if you remain in that state, you're going to attract to yourself those negative circumstances. Because as a man thinketh in his heart, so is that man. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is that man. Guard your heart. Your eyes and your ears are gateway to your heart. Guard your heart with all diligence. For out of it are the issues of life. So what is it that you desire in the new year? What are you looking at? What are those desires? Let me tell you, before I even have a good understanding of this, something happened to me that made me the body light that made me to begin to take this seriously. When I finished school, before I got a job in the bank, I go to visit my uncle and teach his son computer. This was 2003, 2004, 2004, 2006. And teach him computer. I'll go on Sunday, teach him, and then on Monday, when he's going to, he works on the island. I was in Sulere. He will drop me at Oroshoki. So I went back Oshodi from Oshodi with Sulere. But you know what happened? In that car, I always imagine myself that one day I will be with this guy in this car, in suit, going with him to the island. And it's every time I will sit in front, he will be at the back, the driver will drive us. Every time I will always imagine that one day I will be in this car with this guy in suit going to work on the island. In 2016, I got a job with the bank. I was in the branch for a while. December 2006. December 2006, I was moved to the head office where he worked. So I had to go to his house on Sunday I went to him, and the Monday of that day, I was in suit, in his car, in the front, driving to the highland. I learned a big lesson. As a man think in his heart, so is it. That if you have that desire, what has not made it manifest is because there is no concentrated focus. There is no concentrated focus of you. There's no concentrated focus of you on that thought and having the feeling that it has happened. He said, whatsoever you desire when you pray, believe. You know what that believe means? Visualize and feel. Visualize and feel. Visualize and feel. If you do not believe, it will not be so. Envision it, feel it. Feel it like it has happened. What you are actually doing that you don't know is you are raising your vibration to that level to attract that thing you desire to yourself. Or everything you think about is already created. It's just a matter of time before that thought manifests. So the goal of this session today is, how do we begin to go through this sure path to achieve our desired destination? Go ahead.
I was thinking, what if there's a frequency where God orbits? And we are able to constructively interfere.
No.
I mean,
Not if. Look, let me tell you. I strongly believe that our concept of God is not correct. What I mean is the way we see God. We see him as if he's like us. It's not like us. It's not like us. Nobody has seen him before, so nobody can claim they know the way he looks. All we know that he's full of light and he's full of love. So I'm trying to say that what you are saying is not like what it is. It actually is at a frequency. And what leads you to be able to operate at that frequency is the relationship you have with him, which is why, as a Christian, you should actually operate at a higher level. Only, unfortunately, religion does not allow us to be able to operate the way we should operate. So we really are not in sync with him. Those things that the Bible enjoins us not to do are things that emit negative energy, that actually repel you from him. He actually repel you from him. And he's saying, avoid these things. Why? Because if you do them, you actually emit negative energy. It repels you from him. But if you are full of love, because he is love, and it's been shown that that is the highest level of vibration, actually. That if you operate in love, no matter the negative energy, otherwise called the devil, it can't touch you. It can't. It can't. Because you're at a higher level beyond what he can't reach you. He cannot reach you. So when he's saying you should walk in love, what he's basically saying is, if you walk in love and you're at that level of vibration, negative energy cannot come near. You can only attract positive. Including village people. Including village people. Including village people. Including village people. No, if we begin to see the scriptures from this eye of physics, if we begin to see from that eye, the scripture will come alive to you. You then read it with a different eye and be able to get the best from it. Else, you won't get the best from it. You will just, and this is why Christianity is not real to me. It's very vague. It's very, I'm looking for the right word. Abstract, thank you. It's very abstract. So they can't, it's like, okay, I just believe it, but I can't see my actions, my behavior, the things I'm doing, how it helps me. So if you are not conscious of it, so you know that if I'm praising God, I'm deliberate about it. I'm worshiping, I'm deliberate. I'm deliberately raising that energy vibration to a level to be able to attract to myself that which I desire. that which I desire. So moving on to part 2. Yes, go ahead. Yes. The what? Which one? Faith is belief. Belief is, I've just told you belief now. Belief, in the real sense of the word, visualization plus emotion.
You credit it to.
And it will. This also explains the reason why unbelievers who walk in love and practice this principle see the results. Who walk in love and practice this principle see the result. And you see people will tell you the need for you to walk in love, and that they do what they do for the love of mankind. And they see the result. Because it helps them to operate at a level that they are able to pick up. Now, for Christians, you say you pick it up in the spirit. But what really happened is vibration. What really happened is vibration. So, I'm answering your question. Another question before we move on. I'm trying to ensure I bring it into scriptures, which I would have loved to avoid. But I want you to see a reason to understand what I'm saying. And that it's in scripture only that you are not seeing it. And because you're not seeing it, it's going to make things difficult for us in being able to achieve what we desire. So we'll move on to part 2.